Okay, we're good. So I am here with independent wrestler Roger Malcom. I believe your name's the director, right?
Oh no, in wrestling it's paparazzi.
Oh, okay. And you wrestle for NWA Supreme?
Yes, sir.
Anywhere else, or?
I've went to one other promotion, but right now I'm loyal to NWA Supreme.
Makes sense. So, this, I guess, interview is to talk about independent wrestling and I guess the state of independent wrestling today. Um, from the perspective of a wrestler, do you think that independent wrestling is getting, has gotten more attention in 2015 than any other year in recent memory?
Well, I've only been in the business 1 year myself, but from when I started in February to now, I can tell that there's been a good movement, a lot of progress in the independent scene in the local areas. With the NWA coming back and having affiliate groups, that's brought more prestige back to the independent scene as well, and it seems to be continuing to grow. And it seems to be that in 2016 they're only going to keep growing. Now there's a lot of people that do believe that wrestling's dead, which I disagree with completely. I believe that it comes in cycles, and I believe it's coming back stronger now.
I totally agree. I totally agree. For the people that say that WWE is the be all end all, and if what they're seeing on TV every Monday night and Thursday night isn't what they like in wrestling, and they just swear off wrestling, do you think that it's not fair to independents that they're not giving the independents a chance?
You're saying the fans aren't giving the independents a chance?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. For example, I had family members that came and watched me wrestle, and they used to watch it. We used to watch it back in the '80s and the '90s and stuff, but they quit watching it because of the product. It's not what they want. But they came and watched me wrestle, and they watched the whole show, the whole product, and they were just thrilled how much they enjoyed it, how much it reminded them of old school traditional wrestling. And so I believe that WWE, the product that a lot of people see on TV, does hurt the independent scene. It takes away from the hard work that the guys are doing on the independent scene. I also believe that the sports entertainment is sucking the life out of professional wrestling, and that's just my opinion, of course. So that's part of what I want to do, contribute to the business, is to bring the respect back to it for the professional wrestlers.
Do you think that if the NWA was able to maybe secure a national TV deal, that would help change people's perception of the business?
I certainly hope it would. I've heard rumor that they are working towards that, a national TV deal,
Mm-hmm.
and possibly even streaming on Netflix or something like that. I don't know how that would work, but I've just heard rumors about it. Now with New Japan having Access TV, excuse me, they've been able to broadcast some NWA matches or wrestlers such as Rob Conway and Chase Owens on national television here in America, and that certainly has helped spread the word.
Mm-hmm. Um. What what about the I guess the fans that what is your opinion on the fans that don't agree with the idea that Dean Ambrose is Dean Ambrose and not John Moxley, or Seth Rollins is Seth Rollins and not Tyler Black anymore.
Well, I don't know if I have much of an opinion on that. You're just saying that they've changed their personas in the ring?
No, like, what it... One sec. Okay. Sorry. What, like, the fans who refuse to call them the WWE name, as opposed to their indie name still.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that's always been that way, hasn't it? I remember when they said when Demolition first started, they had a Moondog as Smash, and the fans wouldn't accept that. So maybe that's not exactly the same, but you're always going to have the fans that are a little smart to things, and they're going to want to, be the way they are. I was a little bit that way myself, so I think that's the right of the fan, As a performer, it's maybe not easy to respect that, but it's their right.
I've never heard it put in that way before. People usually just say, hey, you got to accept it, or how, like how particular can you be, Now that you've like, with the fact that you've been in the business for what, a year now, you said?
Yeah, 11 months.
Are you like one of those people that are at the training school now and giving advice to the new people that were in your position 11 months ago?
I do offer advice to the guys that come in that I see that want to learn, that are willing to listen. I'm not that experienced or qualified to really be giving too much advice, but I can help where I can, and I do.
Mm-hmm. Now, with that, are you like taking the opposite route? Are you one of those people that are unaccepting of getting advice?
Oh, certainly not. Coming into the business, I was as respectful as I could be to all the veterans, even guys that maybe hadn't even been in the business very long. I listened to what they had to say, regardless if it was, positive or not. I just listened and made my own decision later on, whether or not that was advice I should adhere by or if I should ignore it, Usually it doesn't take long to figure out who's trying to help you and who's, feeding you a line of BS, because it does happen. But no, I listen to everyone that wants to offer advice, really.
Now, for, I guess, like an aspiring wrestler, how did you come up with the name Paparazzi?
Oh, that was given to me, my idea.
Oh. Was it like something with your personality that made them call you Paparazzi, or?
No, actually, the idea was already existed. The guy wanted to use it for some, was wanting to use it, and it was going to be like a group of us. We're going to be the Paparazzi, and I was the only one that stuck around, kept going, and he just eventually saw potential that I would probably be better for it than the other guy he had originally wanted it to be for, and it just, it was quite fitting, honestly, being a director and having cameras myself. I was able to do the gimmick quite well, so.
So you're actually, I guess, like an extension of the character?
Yeah, it's quite, quite fitting.
Yeah. So why not now we talk about a little bit about NWA Supreme.
Okay.
For fans who may not know NWA Supreme, why don't you give like a brief,
We're located in Madison, Indiana. It's been, I'm not exactly sure how long, maybe 19 years the promotion's been running. They haven't always been known as NWA Supreme because the affiliation with the NWA just started this year.
Mm-hmm.
But the main guy that runs it is a 23-year pro. He's the one that does all the training and everything. My trainer, of course. Goes by the name Eric Draven. We run several towns or cities around Madison area in Indiana, including Seymour, Indiana, Hanover, Indiana, Versailles, Indiana, and perhaps others, but I haven't been there yet myself. I don't know what else to say there.
Maybe promoting if you have any events coming up with NWA Supreme.
Yeah, that is true. We do have a. Let me see real quick. On January 29th, we have an event in Seymour, Indiana, which is basically our biggest show of the year. It's a benefit. I'll be wrestling Rob Conway.
What's the name of that show?
I want it says actually that I only worry about what's coming up right in front of me. I don't get too far out ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I can't keep it all straight. But we run every Saturday night in Madison, Indiana, at the James Bowling Event Center
Mm-hmm.
at 7:30 bell time every Saturday night. Usually, when we do a show on the road, we do it on a Friday night. We have I'm looking and I'm finding all these other shows except the one I'm talking about. Not quite sure why not. I believe it's called Pinnacle, NWA Pinnacle or NWA Supreme Pinnacle. There it is. Yes. It'll be at 311 Myers Street, Seymour, Indiana, 7:30 bell time, NWA Supreme Pinnacle. Johnny Justice will be facing Sean Schultz for the NWA Mid-America title. That should be the main event.
And you said you're facing Rob Conway?
Yes.
Now, from your perspective, what is it like facing, Rob Conway, who's been featured on, national TV before?
Well, the first time I faced him, it was quite the experience. I thought I was prepared for it, and then once I got in the ring, my nerves let me know I wasn't quite as prepared as I thought I was. But it was a great experience. I believe in the wrestling business, or with any business maybe. If you want to get better, you have to face people that are better than you, and that's certainly the case. So it's a great honor to be able to get in a ring with someone of that caliber.
What do people like Rob Conway add to the independents?
Well, they, certainly prestige. When someone like that is willing to come to an independent show, the fans truly appreciate it. They, a guy like him, they truly love him, and they really respect him. And all the boys in the back, it's the same way. Especially a guy like Rob Conway, truly respectable man, and he's there to improve everything, to make everyone better. So some guys maybe aren't like that, but Rob Conway is the epitome of professional.
Do you think that the only way the independents can get more attention is by getting former WWE employees, or?
I wouldn't say that's the only way. It's a complicated question, I guess. It certainly helps, but see, just because you've been somewhere doesn't mean that you're going to contribute positively when you come. Some guys they're just maybe just wanting the paycheck because you got to make the money if you're going to be on the road and everything. But a guy like Rob Conway wants to contribute more than just, or he doesn't want to just take. He wants to contribute. He wants to make sure that he is adding something more to it so that guys are learning, understanding what to do, and he's not just coming to take money and run, he's not that way. There might be guys out there that are more like that, but luckily he's not.
Yeah. And that's why he's a former world champion. With, more companies like, Global Force Wrestling and eventually next year sometime Classic Wrestling Revolution with Shane Douglas popping up, and a company like Paragon Pro Wrestling getting a TV deal, what can you expect for like the independents next year with like more if more companies like that seek, say, exclusivity, would that hurt other independents? Or
I don't necessarily know if it'll hurt. You're saying, like, for example, like TNA had guys that weren't allowed to work other promotions. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know if that hurts the indies, because that gives other guys that aren't working for someone more of a chance to work other indie shows. So the more wrestling, there's a point, I guess, where it can become oversaturated, but I believe the more opportunities for guys to wrestle, the better.
Now, in that case, like, say, WWE comes in, I'm, not nothing with WWE, I'm just, first company that pops in. Say they come in and sign, 4 to 5 guys from NWA Supreme. Would the company have, 4 to 5 more guys waiting, say, in the training school or something to take the spot?
Certainly not. I mean, it takes a while to get people up to that level. So if, say, we lost 4 of our top guys, it's not going to be easy to replace them immediately or anything. That would be detrimental, I think, to any promotion. And we've seen that. We saw that in the 80s when WWE did go in and raid the territories. It did. It destroyed. It killed them off,
Very true.
But everything's a cycle. I would like to believe that with the quality of the WWE product, that more and more people are turning to an alternative, and that independent wrestling does offer that alternative. So, that's something that does happen, though. Everything rises to the top, doesn't it? So.
Yeah. Now, back in, I can't remember, when the build for Global Force Wrestling was going on, Jeff Jarrett made a video saying that he believes that pro wrestling was on the brink of another golden age. Do you believe that? Do you believe what Jeff said?
I do, actually. I agree with him completely. Is it because I want to believe it, or is it because I don't? I mean, it might just be because I want to believe it. But I've been watching wrestling since I was 4 years old, since 1988, and during the Attitude Era, it was really popular, but the quality wasn't there. Match quality, the work rate really wasn't there. And I believe guys nowadays, you can listen to someone like Jim Ross who tells you that the art, the craft is being lost, that people are not, they don't know how to tell stories in the ring anymore. They certainly can do 50 different moves in the ring, but they don't know how to tell a proper story in the ring anymore. And I believe there's a lot of truth to that, but I believe also that the guys that still can tell the stories are going to be the ones that continue to push professional wrestling into the new era.
Now, what with what Jim Ross said about not the art form being lost. Do you think that starts with how the people are trained?
Oh, certainly, yes. Yeah, if you're trained by someone that doesn't know how to tell a story himself, then you're not going to learn how to tell the story in the ring. So that's certainly part of it.
I totally agree. I totally agree. And, that's why certain. I guess that's why certain fans don't certain people gravitate towards that certain independent promotions that are not based on storytelling and are more the 50 different, where they'll see the 50 different moves in a match.
Correct, yeah. Jim Ross I've heard him say that about like Ring of Honor. They're incredible athletes and they work incredibly hard. But, it's his opinion that he feels they should slow it down a little bit and tell more of a story. And I guess maybe I feel that way a little bit too. I really enjoy the New Japan product.
Mm-hmm.
And feel like it made me feel like a child again when I used to watch it back in the day, even though the product I watched back in the day wasn't as good as what I'm watching from New Japan today. It's just, it reminds me, I get involved in the characters. I don't even speak Japanese, and I don't even worry about that. I just watch it, and I get caught up in the story they're telling in the ring.
Yeah, I spoke to James Beard recently, who has done a lot of work over in Japan, and he said that the New Japan style has become more a mix of the strong style and the American, style of wrestling. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I've noticed that since I started watching that it's evolved some. The bookers, Jado and Guido, have definitely picked up on that, and I think they're trying to appeal to a wider audience, but at the same time, they offer something that you're not going to see in America.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that, and that's why they're having so much success in Japan. What a thought that just popped into my head was the ROH Top Prospect Tournament that happens every year. What does this give to independent wrestlers?
Oh, you'd have to educate me on it more. I'm not even sure.
Well, ROH has either a 16-man or an 8-man tournament with people from independent wrestling, like.
So they don't use their own wrestlers?
No, they pick talent like Lyle Rush, who has worked in or currently works in Combat Zone Wrestling. I think he's the television champion. And Action Ortiz, who came from Tommy Dreamer's training school. And they let them work their events, and the winner of the tournament gets an ROH contract and title shot, or TV title shot. This is where they found like Mike Bennett and Kyle O'Reilly and possibly Michael Elgin, but I know War Machine was found in the tournament. I guess it's just like a scouting or, a way to find new talent.
A lot better than like a Tough Enough tournament, huh?
Yeah, a lot better.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about that. That's really interesting. Sounds great.
Yeah. Speaking of Tough Enough, what does Tough Enough bring to independent wrestlers?
I don't know. Sure. It brings ratings and income for the company, right? For the corporation.
Yeah, that's about it. Doesn't do anything for the fans.
Didn't do anything for me, I can tell you that.
Yeah. Well, now I'm gonna put you on the spot. Any Any known, other than Rob Conway, any big name stars that you've worked with in your short tenure in the business thus far?
Um, Other than Rob Conway, at this point, no, I have not. I do have a future match with Chase Owens in January as well, and that will be a big opportunity for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Trained by Ricky Morton.
Mm-hmm. Uh, well, I asked you about Rob Conway before. What is that match gonna do? What is that match with Chase Owens gonna do for you?
I won't know until I get through it.
um. Well. What other like is there any like big name on the scene that you would like to work with?
Oh yeah, that's a never-ending list probably. um, you know, uh, for inspiration, I look to a lot of guys, but one guy that I really looked up to is Shinsuke Nakamura, the New Japan Intercontinental Title champion. I love his style. I love the way he presents himself. And
Mm.
I was fortunate enough to get to meet him twice when they came in 2011. They did the Attack on East Coast tour, New Japan, with I think it was Jersey All Pro. They like
Yeah.
co-promoted it.
Mm-hmm.
I got to meet Shinsuke in New York, just a brief moment, but I got to watch him wrestle live 3 times. And it was really important to me. And it really helped motivate me to, want to get into the business.
Mm-hmm. Now, looking into 2016, and you um continuing your wrestling career, if you could fast forward to next year and say you're sitting with a recent graduate of the training school, what would you tell that recent graduate?
I'm not quite sure how to answer that. Yeah, jump ahead a year, like to
Yeah.
the end of next year,
Mhm.
sitting with some that's just come through the training, and if or just finished the training.
Mhm.
But it just really depends on the person. I choose what I say to people depending on the individual. Some guys, there's certain things you feel you need to say to them, and some guys you don't feel you need to say the same things.
Mhm.
There's certain guys that have come into the training where I'll try to offer advice to them because it wasn't easy for me. I struggled quite a bit, and when you see a guy struggling, but you can see there's potential, there's passion, he's got drive, and he wants to do it. You don't want him to quit. You don't want him to give up. And I mean, it's pretty tough stuff being a professional wrestler, especially when you get into it.
Mhm.
So, when I want to offer some advice to somebody, if they're willing to listen and hear, you just want to offer more. You want to look out for them. You want to make sure that you're looking out for the guys because that's what it's about. And then there's I guess that's mostly what it comes down to is just making sure that you're looking out for the new guys that are coming in.
Yeah.
That goes a long way. A little bit of encouragement goes a long way.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree. Um. Any. Now, as how can fans get in contact with you on social media?
Well, on Facebook, I'm on Facebook as you can go NWA Paparazzi is my fan page there. If they want to contact me, or Roger Malcom on Facebook is my personal account.
Any Twitter or no?
Yeah, got I think it's the Roger Malcom on Twitter. I've got more accounts than I need, for sure.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Um. No, go ahead if you were gonna. Yeah.
I was gonna say I do have a website I write like freelance writing for film reviews and other things. It's clashhollywood.com. It's CLASH Hollywood.
Very cool.
We're able to share our I'm able to share. Our the NWA Supreme, we started doing these highlight videos with promos, interviews, post-match interviews. So that's a newer thing. We've only had 2 of them come out, but I share those on the website as well to help get more coverage.
Well, that's very cool. Now, a question that just popped into my head, and a question that most wrestlers pose at the end of every year: if you had to pick for 2016, where would you like to work in 2016?
Well, I'm really quite satisfied with what I'm doing right now, as I'm learning, getting the experience. Being a local wrestler and traveling around my home state of Indiana, I'm really proud to be able to do that. I'd like to think I'm wanting to make guys like Dick the Bruiser proud that we're, keeping the scene alive locally. But my dream is to wrestle in Japan. I mean, that's what I want. I'd be willing to wrestle in Mexico. I'd be willing to wrestle in Germany. I'd be willing to wrestle anywhere, really. But a major part of me wants to go to Japan. Will I be able to do that in 2016? I don't know. But I didn't realize I was going to be wrestling Rob Conway in 2015. So you never know what will happen.
No, one of JR's catchphrases. Would you classify yourself as like a more proud of being a territory wrestler than an independent wrestler?
I don't really think about it much, but I mean, I suppose I would, perhaps, since you bring it up. I mean, the idea of being a territory wrestler is, I'd rather say that than an independent wrestler, I guess.
like you're more of you'd fall into the category of you want to be like a local hero, like Dick the Bruiser was, or
yeah, that's certainly the case.
Or
yes.
Bobo.
Yes. Well, speaking of Bobo, I was in a battle royal once with Bobo Brazil Jr. and got chopped by him. So I didn't think about that until you just said his name, but
yeah. Well, I of course was talking about Bobo Senior, but
yeah, yes.
But anything that makes you bring up is well, that was a unique experience. That must have been a unique experience.
Yeah. You don't get chopped by Bobo Brazil Jr.
Yeah. Well, that's a unique way to finish this, but I thank you for joining me.
It was my honor. Thank you.
Come back anytime.
All right. Will do.